Well, hey, a good Sunday evening to you. Welcome on into a Card Central instant reaction. You thought that you were just going to sit around and watch some football tonight. No, we have a breaking news trade for you, and we are coming to you live just minutes after it was announced. The Cardinals have come to an agreement with, guess who? The Boston Red Sox on yet another trade, this time sending Willson Contreras over to the Boston Red Sox in exchange. Hunter Dobbins and other minor league pitchers going back to St. Louis. This according to Jeff Passan. We will get you all of the news notes, whatever, on Hunter Dobbins as we go along here. As long as you're watching, as long as you are participating in the show, we will talk with you about our instant reactions, and we'll see who else decides to jump in and join us as we talk about it. Joe Roderick alongside Randy Carricker with you. Randy, thanks for jumping on this evening.
Yeah, Joe, a little bit of a surprise. I figured that maybe Chaim Bloom would wait until after Christmas, but the job of a president of baseball operations or general manager is never to take a break. And this is the last night of Hanukkah. For those that aren't aware of it, Chaim Bloom is Jewish, but here he is on the last night of Hanukkah working a deal with Boston, and the Cardinals get a few more of the young players that the Red Sox have on the farm. And Willson Contreras was a really nice pickup for Boston. He turned out to be a really good player and a great hitter for the Cardinals. But as we know, the Cardinals are A, trying to get money off the books, and B, trying to open up a spot for young players. So Alec Burleson, I would think, will probably move over to first base. This probably precipitates them keeping Lars Nootbaar, I would think, unless they're going to move a guy like Gorman over to first. But it opens up a lot of possibilities for Oli Marmol to have Willson Contreras out of that locker room. And by the way, Bernie and I talked about what a valuable guy Willson Contreras is in the room. And the Cardinals lose some really valuable veteran presence in trading Willson Contreras, but that's just not where they are now, and that's not where he is. I think he probably wants to win another World Series, and Boston is a good place to do it.
Yeah, and I would, we'll get into this as far as the trickle down ramifications of it. You brought up Lars Nootbaar. I think, if anything, I think the guy that this opens the biggest door for is Jordan Walker. Because you look at how much we've talked about the Cardinals wanting to trade two left-handed bats. They're too left-handed heavy. You just traded away Willson Contreras, a big righty in the middle of that order. And right now you have Ivan Herrera. That's a righty. Outside of that, everybody else, all your big bashers, and anybody that is going to be in the middle of that order, and by middle of that order, I say maybe 3 through 7, 2 through 8, everybody is left-handed now for the most part outside of Ivan Herrera. So this is you really, really need Jordan Walker to step up right now and be that big bat from the right side.
Big time, Joe. And it's really interesting because I know that you look at possibilities for the Cardinals in making a deal for a guy like Brendan Donovan. Nobody has right-handed bats in their systems. Right-handed bats are a really rare commodity in baseball right now. And I'm sure that's why the Red Sox wanted a guy like Contreras. But to your point, not only do the Cardinals not have anybody on the horizon in their system, there really isn't anybody on the horizon in anybody's system that you can say, okay, that's a surefire right-handed bat that we can have at the major league level. And you're exactly right. The Cardinals all along were planning to give Jordan Walker an opportunity. Now there's a little bit of pressure on him and the Cardinals for him to be good.
Hunter Dobbins, the big name that came back, he made 11 starts for the Boston Red Sox, not just some minor league arm with the Red Sox. A 26-year-old right-hander made 11 starts, a 4.13 ERA, appeared in 2 other games in relief, so 61 total innings, 45 strikeouts. You look at all the numbers, there's nothing. He was a guy that was just in the rotation, filled in here and there, nothing major. But a guy that nonetheless had major league experience and had innings at the major league level. And that's what we are seeing more and more with each and every one of these moves. You saw it with Dustin. I mean, right now you have 3 guys that are possible that are going to be going to spring training, going for a starting spot in spring training next year for the Cardinals that were in the Red Sox rotation at one point or another next last season.
Right.
So, for anybody
and Joe,
a lot last year, I guess maybe you tell us about these guys.
Yeah, and in his rookie year, you look at the starts. His major league debut, 5 innings. He goes 6. He goes 5 2/3. He goes 6. He goes 5. Then he had a couple of 4 2/3, 4, 3 1/3, but then back to 5, 5, 6. So he was giving the Red Sox innings in his rookie year too. If you're getting 5 to 6 innings out of a rookie, I think you're really happy about that. And I think if the Cardinals could get that on a regular basis, get 2 outs in the 5th, get the 6th, get into the 6th inning, I think the Cardinals would like to have that, especially to a 4.13 earned run average. If you can get that sort of production at the back end of your rotation from a young pitcher and protect your bullpen, I think you really got something.
And two, I see people in the comments posting it up there. There you see Dobbins' stats on there. I know Matt Rocchio just threw it out there, but Taco Dell says he just had surgery on his ACL. I'm reading about it right now. And again, folks, I mean, we're coming to you live. This trade happened 15 minutes ago, and we went live within about 5 to 10 minutes of the trade happening here on STL Sports Central. We're getting your thoughts on this. We're giving you the news as it comes by. As soon as we are seeing tweets about it or getting any other information, we are posting it to you. And it says here, back on July 11th, in a game against the Tampa Bay Rays, Dobbins tore his ACL when he stepped on first base after fielding a ground ball by Chandler Simpson. So July 11th is when he tore his ACL. Randy is a 2-time torn ACL survivor. I could tell you that I would imagine that he's going to be ready to go by spring, being able to pitch. Probably not able to go maybe by opening day in March or April. But with the way it is now, I would say that they're gonna push it, but I wouldn't expect him to be on the opening day roster.
Yeah, he'll have to get some pitching in so that he can build his arm up, but that'll be almost 8 months. Opening day will be almost 8 months clear of tearing it, like you said, on July 11th. And he'll probably have to have a spring training then, and maybe you get him up to the major leagues by the beginning part of May. And that wouldn't be bad for the Cardinals. And what they want to do is they want to throw numbers at a problem that they have, which is innings. And now, with the addition of Richard Fitz, with the addition of Dustin May, with the addition of Hunter Dobbins, now the Cardinals are able at some point during the season to throw numbers at any innings problem. It's unrealistic to think that they're going to get all of their pitchers to stay healthy again in 26 like they did in 25. So I'm intrigued by this. And again, I think we have to, whenever the Cardinals make deals during this offseason, aside from Brendan Donovan, we have to follow the money. And the biggest thing here is not the return that you're getting. The biggest thing that the Cardinals wanted to do, and Willson Contreras is a valuable commodity, but the biggest thing the Cardinals wanted to do was open up spots for younger players and open up payroll space because of their declining revenues. That's the biggest thing that they wanted to do.
Yeah, and I'm kind of scrolling through here. I'm trying to see if any of the money information has been put out there yet. I'm not seeing any of that out there at the moment. Haven't seen the full package that has been sent back either in this exchange. So as it comes to us, we will get you that information as well. Willson Contreras had 2 years left on his deal, $37 million over the next 2 years, and a $17.5 million team option in 2028. So again, we talked about this with the Sonny Gray trade, where you look at what the return is, what's coming back, and how the money is exchanged. That if you're taking more, and I think we were all surprised with maybe the level of major league player and the level of prospect that we got back from Boston, sending, with $20 million, half of Sonny Gray's contract being sent there, only getting only having to pay half of it. So if you look at this and it's a pitcher who, made 11 starts and tore his ACL, you wonder how much money that means coming back. Did Boston take even more money off the books for it this time? And maybe the return is a little less because maybe it was more money. I'm seeing here Hunter Mulholland of STL Sports Central, who was in the chat, saying Yokier Fajardo. I'll let you maybe take a stab at that one, Randy, and Blake Aida. The two.
I would go with
prospects.
Fajardo, kind of like fajita.
Yeah. So it looks like those are the two coming back for that.
Okay.
And now we go and we look those guys up.
Yeah, and Jesse Rogers reporting that Contreras got an extra $1 million to waive his no trade clause. So I would guess the Cardinals paid that. I wonder though, because of the type of player he is and his age, and there's only 2 years left. I wonder if the Cardinals had to pay a significant amount to move Willson Contreras. It'll be he is worth the money on his contract to the Boston Red Sox. They didn't have an awful lot of production last year out of first base. Cassis has never turned out to be the kind of player that they thought that he was going to be. So I would think that unless there were no other takers, and there might not have been, I would think that Boston probably is paying a pretty good portion of his salary.
We will look up what we can on those two prospects in just a second as we get set to do that. Though, want to tell you about our friends over at DraftKings. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, it's still available. Bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets, and you can turn those bonus bets into real cash. Maybe you take a Sunday and you bet some touchdowns scorers throughout the NFL. Maybe you bet a Jamar Gibbs live touchdown during their final drive. I don't know who here could have possibly done that today and made a little cash. Maybe you vote James Cook to have a really nice game today, and you're sitting here and you're really happy on a Sunday right before Christmas, like some people possibly in this show right now. Use promo code STL Sports on DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
You want a backyard paradise next summer? Talk to Merrimack Pools and Outdoors now. No surprises, great design, straight pricing, and you could be swimming by Memorial Day. Hit SplashSTL.com. Merrimack Pools and Outdoors, turning big Griswold dreams into real St. Louis backyards for 25 years.
We have some news here on this right now.
Okay.
As you see Matthew Rocky working hard behind the scenes, throwing up news and notes on some of the guys that have come back. Yoker Fajardo pitched with, it looks like with single A last year, 19 years old. His fastball rates out at a 55 with his control rating out at a 50. And there you see all the news there. Landed the largest bonus among Venezuelan pitchers on the 2024 international market, signing with the White Sox for $400,000. Made his pro debut in the rookie level Dominican Summer League, finished second in its strikeout minus walk percentage, 26%. After the Red Sox designated Cam Bozer for assignment last December, they shipped him to Chicago in exchange for Fajardo. So there you see, looks like velocity here touching 96 miles an hour, two-seam fastball touching 97, and again, only 19 years old. More advanced than most 18 or now 19-year-old pitchers. He needed just 6 outings this spring to earn a promotion to single A. He has thrown strikes throughout his pro career and commands his fastball well. Randy, I mean, at 19 years old, and you see he's already been traded once, but a guy that looks like he was highly touted. This is just a high, a big lottery ticket. That's what these are, and somebody that again was not in the Red Sox system when Chaim Bloom was in the Red Sox system. I think those are important things to kind of point out here. I know it's all fun to say, oh, they're trading with everybody, they're trading with only the Red Sox here, but this is a guy that was not in that Chaim Bloom really had nothing to do with during his time.
Yeah. And I think, Joe, when we look at the upside, like you said, 96, 97, 147 strikeouts and 122 and a third career minor league innings. He's a strikeout guy, 17 starts last year to a 2.25 earned run average. That doesn't mean an awful lot in A ball, but when you're 19 and you're dominating like he did in A ball, that's at least a positive. And what the Cardinals are looking for is ultimately high upside guys that in 27, 28, 29 will blossom and be part of the Cardinal rotation. And that's what they're looking for in a guy like Fajardo. So they've done exactly what Chaim Bloom said he wanted to do. They wanted to have a major league pitcher, which they get in Hunter Dobbins, and they want to be able to, as Chaim called it, warehouse guys in the minors and have guys getting ready to join the major league squad. And this fits the bill. This is like the Sonny Gray trade. The Cardinals got a major league starter. They got another young guy that is going to hopefully be ready by 27 or 28. And that seems to be the MO of what the Cardinals are doing here in these trades with the Red Sox. And the Red Sox, by the way, if you watch them in the playoffs, they've got some really good young pitching, and they were able to trade some young guys for Garrett Crochet too. So a lot of what Chaim Bloom acquired over there has been really good, and the Red Sox system that he built is acquiring good young pitching too, and that's why the Cardinals are interested in it. And I believe, though, if we want to count the deadline trade that sent Steven Matz to Boston, I don't think you can count Chaim Bloom for that, but the Cardinals have dealt with the Red Sox a lot here in the last few months.
I do actually. That's the one I think you really count, because the guy they got back, I thought was a guy that was drafted while Bloom was there in Blaze, Georgia.
Drafted.
So,
Yep.
yeah, so I think
Right.
that is one. That one did seem like it had a lot of Bloom's fingerprints on it. Willson Contreras, by the way, the Cardinals also send $8 million to the Red Sox to cover part of his remaining $41.5 million in salary. So $8 million only going this time, where we saw $20 million go in the Sonny Gray deal. Again, that's maybe why. Okay, hey, you pay more of it, you send us back lesser prospects in this case. So I think that's why we are seeing what we're seeing. But like you said, it's all about adding those arms, adding those innings. You have so many innings you need to cover from last year that either guys have left or they were really bad last year. You need to cover that to not be, Chaim Bloom's not going into business this year to lose 120 games. He's not doing all of these moves to go out there and try to break the White Sox record or be the Rockies from last year. Yes, they are cutting and shedding a lot of payroll. They're letting a lot of young kids play. He's not going out there to make this team a laughingstock, and Bill DeWitt's not going to allow that either.
And we have an interesting chat from Supram37 that says, I'm telling you guys right now, Chaim Bloom is a cleaner. He comes in, trims payroll, trades off vets, collects prospects and draft picks, gets fired, moves on. Well, this is the guy that was vilified in Boston for giving that monster contract to Rafael Devers. So I don't know that he's a guy that, granted, he was forced to trade Mookie Betts. And the Cardinals, Sonny Gray was not a guy that was going to be around when they were going to win. Willson Contreras is not going to be around when the Cardinals are ready to win again. And I don't think that Nolan Arenado will be around or be a good player when the Cardinals are ready to win again. There's nothing wrong with collecting prospects. One of the things that Chaim Bloom did before he did get fired in Boston was collected enough prospects, Joe, as you know, to have Boston have the #1 rated system in all of baseball at the beginning of the 2025 season. And that included 3 of the top 12 prospects in the game. So I don't know that he's actually here to come in, slash, and get fired. I think he's here to get the Cardinals back to where they feel like they should be, and that's producing a young player every year. And I've mentioned this to the Cardinals. I've mentioned this on the air, and I don't know if Whitey Herzog was considered a trimmer, but when the Cardinals traded people like Gary Templeton in the early 80s, when they traded Ted Simmons, Pete Vukovich, they had Raleigh Fingers for 24 hours. I don't know if you're considered a trimmer when you bring up Willie McGee in 82 and Danny Cox in 83 and Terry Pendleton in 84 and Vince Coleman and Todd Worrell in 85, Greg Matthews in 86, Joe McGrain in 87. I think there's something to be said for bringing up young players every single year. And I think that's the Cardinal goal, not to just slash and burn.
Yeah, and he, like you mentioned Mookie Betts. He was also there when they had to trade Xander Bogaerts. I mean, and you look too, like we're trying to compare this, that Mookie Betts is a top, would you say top 10 player in all of baseball right now? Xander Bogaerts,
Easily.
Xander Bogaerts, a top 25, top 50 player in baseball, especially when he was traded too at the time. He didn't have those pieces when he came to the Card. Like, you're not talking about Sonny Gray and Willson Contreras in the same breath as a Xander Bogaerts or Mookie Betts. So he is working with a lot less from that situation here, from that aspect of things, when he's making those trades and moving them along. He's doing, for right now, again, this is all wait and see. Every bit of this is wait and see. The Brendan Donovan trade will be the measuring stick that when and if that happens. The Brendan Donovan return will be the measuring stick on all of this to see what kind of prospects and what kind of, from what system we are getting back. And right now, we can't judge any of these returns.
No, but that being said, the Cardinals have people that do have history, right? The players that Jerry DiPoto traded for in Seattle, Matt Pierpont was a big part of that. The players that the Cleveland Indians traded for, and now the Guardians, Rob Cerfolio was a big part of that. Bloom making those deals, like getting Wilyer Abreu in a deal for Boston. They've got a pretty good history. And then when you look at Bloom's history in Tampa, he was gone by the time the Cardinals traded Randy Arozarena, but Tampa Bay history is rife with trades for players that nobody had ever heard of that wound up being really good players for the Rays. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt simply because they've done it before.
Yeah, and let's turn to chimes in here. Xander was not traded. He left during free agency. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for that correction there with that. He opted out of his contract and went on to the Padres after that. So Mookie Betts was the big trade that he had to come and make for there. So right now, you mentioned earlier that it's the last night of Hanukkah for Chaim Bloom. It is funny that during the winter meetings, he sat there with all of the St. Louis media that was down in Orlando covering this, and actually had addressed kind of the timeline of these moves or what the trades and everything looked like. And he said that he likes to give, and it's something, they did. I think he was talking about time in Tampa where they looked at it and they were like, hey, listen, like, we're going to get a break. Everybody, go home for Christmas, even though he said, he goes, famously, I don't celebrate Christmas. He goes, but then he goes, on Christmas Day, an agent reached out to him and said, hey, I need your best offer on this guy right now. And he said, I'm just kind of sitting at home, not doing anything. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But yeah, so I think we are a little, maybe not with the 21st, being December 21st, we're not as surprised with that. But at some point, I would say, tomorrow, Tuesday, I would think that we're going to see a cease, a kind of a stoppage, a break of sorts with the Cardinals, as it seems like this is a move that got in under that wire, and now they move on from here. Now you were going to say.
When the Cardinals in 1996, when the DeWitt ownership took over, they announced the free agent signings of Andy Benes and Ron Gant on Christmas Eve. Like 4:00 on Christmas Eve. So guess who was working?
We will wait and see now how everything. We still have Brendan Donovan out there. Another one that we're still anxiously awaiting is the move of Nolan Arenado, and we saw earlier today Menacora goes and sign. I think I might have butchered that name, but he goes and signs with the White Sox, which is I tweeted about this at the time. I think that benefits the Cardinals greatly because if you look at all the teams that Nolan Arenado possibly would be traded to, the White Sox, I don't think were anywhere near that list. They were not on that list. And now all of these teams that were maybe in the market for him to play third base, now it's still open for that.
Yeah, and actually it's interesting because there's two things. Number one, and it's Murakami, by the way.
Murakami, yes.
I just double checked it for you, Joe. But he was a third baseman, but apparently he's going to play first in Chicago. So they believe that his third base play is deficient. And one of the reasons that he only got a 2-year deal is that there are real questions about his ability to hit velocity at the major league level. With the scouting that was done at the World Baseball Classic, teams have concerns about him. But the big thing here is that there is another third baseman, whether it was perceived or real. There's another third baseman off the market. And at some point, Eugenio Suarez and Alex Bregman are going to sign. And there's still going to be a team out there that needs a third baseman. I don't know if Nolan Arenado will be the third baseman that they want, but somebody like Boston, somebody like Detroit is going to want to get Arizona. And by the way, they love Suarez and Suarez loved them. Seattle, and they're probably in the market for a second baseman too, but they're losing Suarez. There's a lot of teams out there, a lot of good teams that are willing to spend that will be in the market for a third baseman. My question is going to be, do they think that Nolan Arenado is good enough to help them? I think there are teams. I think Boston would be one. If he went and played with the Green Monster, I think he'd be a lot better off than he would be playing at Comerica Park in Detroit, where it's hard to hit home runs. I think that in Arizona, where they have that short porch in left, Arenado would be reasonably effective. So I think that there's a chance that Major League Baseball people believe that he can be a pretty good player. I give the Cardinals credit for this one because they had, remember at the end of the season, Willson Contreras said, nope, I want to be a Cardinal. And he was all about being a Cardinal. He was honored to play here. He was honored to follow Yadier Molina. And the Cardinals wanted to open up space for the young players. They have a plan, and they went back to him and said, look, and probably exactly what we said, we love you, but when we're ready to win again, you aren't going to be an effective player anymore. Do you really want to go through life not having a chance to be a productive major league postseason player? And my guess would be he thought about it, and here we are with Willson Contreras on his way to Boston.
Let me ask you this now, with Willson Contreras being traded away, we talked about it at the start of the show that Alec Burleson probably becomes your everyday first baseman. Who's the backup first baseman right now for the Cardinals?
Well, you could give Gorman played a little bit of first base.
Gorman had to play there a little bit last year.
There.
Yeah, when Contreras was suspended and Burleson was hurt, we saw Gorman play there for a series. I think in like August, or was it August, September, whenever it was late in the year. We did see Gorman there. Is that, and who else I guess fits the billing of a possible Herrera? I mean, do you work Herrera there and say, hey, forget about the outfield. Let's try you at first?
Yeah, that would be my move. And I know he wants to catch, but I would have him play first base too. We've seen a lot of catchers. We just saw one move from catcher to first base and play with a level of success. There were times when Yadier Molina, they didn't want him squatting 100 times behind home plate, so Yadi would play first now and then. Joe Torre became a really good first baseman after being a catcher. So Herrera is athletic enough to do it. And one of the reasons that they told him that they would give him the chance to play catcher is because they said, you're too good of an athlete to be a DH every day. And so they want to give him an opportunity to play. Well, maybe this is that opportunity. And especially when he actually saw a guy move from catcher to first base with a high level of success, maybe they can convince him that that'll be the guy. And Blaze Jordan too. Don't forget about Blaze.
Yeah, you got to add him to the 40-man and see enough out of him at spring training to put him in that mix. Yeah. But that's also one. Maybe that's a future. I mean, J.J. Weatherholt's another guy that could possibly play there. I mean, he's a guy that talked about willing to do anything, willing to play anywhere, and he said that he could do third, short, second, outfield, wherever. Again, first base, I feel like could be an option for him too. Then.
I don't think there's any doubt that athletically he could do it. But, Joe, the Cardinals are so excited about what he can do in the middle infield. His best position is shortstop, and they think that he could be a high-level shortstop in the majors, but they've already got a high-level shortstop in the majors. But I think they want to play J.J. on the middle infield, and that's why he played so much second base last year. I think they really want to see him on the middle infield. And if you have Wynn and Weatherholt, you might have a couple of Gold Glovers at your Keystone combo. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
And I'll say this: I see Hunter also throwing out there the the idea of Walker. I will say that I was all for the idea of Jordan Walker being worked out at first base going into last year's spring training when you started the experiment with Willson Contreras, and you had you had a lot of outfielders in the system. And the fact too that Jordan Walker, he's a humongous target, and he started off as a third baseman, was drafted as a third baseman. But the strides that he made in playing the outfield last year, I think don't touch it. The work that he put in and the solid right fielder that he became last season, I think that he is right now. We talked about at the start of the show. He's a right-handed bat now. He's your second best right-handed bat right now after Ivan Herrera possibly when it comes to power. And I think you put him in right field and you say, hey, you're our everyday right fielder now.
Yeah, and I think with Jordan, with all the work that he's put in to become, as you said, an average to above average right fielder now, I think they would hate to waste that work. And there really isn't an heir there. So what would you do? Would you keep Newtbar and put him in right field? Would you try Herrera in right? I don't know that right now, Joe, that there's Nathan Church. I don't know that there's a better option to play in right field. I actually think there are more options. We brought up Weatherholt. We brought up Herrera, Burleson. I think there are so many options for first base, so many more than there are for right field. I'm with you. Keep him settled in right and let him just play, and let him play for the first half of the season. Let Jordan Walker play for the first half of the season, and then let's see what happens. But one thing that the trade of Contreras does, it opens up a ton of options for Ollie, not just in regards to defense, but Ollie's a big believer in having his best hitter hit second or third. And that's why Contreras was always there, because he and Donovan were considered by Ollie Marmol to be the best hitter. So now he can open things up a little bit. I'm sure Herrera will still be there as the number 2 or 3 hitter, but it'll be interesting to see. Is it going to be a J.J. Weatherholt sooner rather than later? Will Burleson, do you go back to back with a guy like Herrera and Burleson as 2-3? I think there's a lot of interesting options for Ollie here that he didn't have last year because of the presence of Willson Contreras.
I believe Brendan Schaefer might be joining us here in just a bit. Said he was doing bedtime when the news broke. Hey, while we have you though, become an STL Sports Central insider, and if you when you do that, not only do you get a chance to win great prizes, like one of our insiders just won this past weekend, where they will be going to the bragging rights game tomorrow night between Illinois and Mizzou, but you also get exclusive content for STL Sports Central insiders only. You get the full chat each and every week with Randy Carricker and Bernie Miklas, the full 45-minute plus chat each and every week with Randy and Bernie. You also get 4 of Bernie's columns every week. Monday is free. Tuesday through Friday, you have to become an STL Sports Central insider to get in on those. Go to stlsportscentral.com, click the banner up above, and it's real simple on how to become an STL Sports Central insider there, as you see at stlsportscentral.com. $9.95 per month, $99.95 per year. Yes, Randy.
I wanted to bring up a possible Donovan trade or a possible Arenado trade. The Cardinals have procured so many pitchers, and you never can have too much pitching. But I wonder if, Joe, now they have a little bit more flexibility to pursue position players in trades, because you get 2 pitchers in the Gray trade, you get 3 pitchers here. You already had your predominance of good minor league players. You had your 2 guys, Doyle and Matthews, but then you had a couple of guys with Motts and Robinson at Double-A. The Cardinals have a lot of young pitching now. Not that they would turn down more young pitching, but I wonder if that's a requirement now, or if they might be more open when they trade guys like Donovan and or Arenado to get position players back in return.
Yeah, that is again. We've heard the Giants, we've heard the Mariners, and every time we hear those names,
Mhm.
we immediately go and we look at the pitching for all of those. I mean, but Randy, better than any, you can never have too much pitching. Never have. I mean, how many
Right.
times in the past 10 years have we gone into a Cardinal spring training and say, man, they could have 11 starters this year. They have 11 guys that could start in this
Yeah.
rotation, and next thing you know, it's June and they're starting a guy, and you're going, who the hell is this? So
Mhm.
it's happened
Right. Yeah.
way too many times.
Yeah. And interestingly, one of the reasons I would guess that the Red Sox felt like they could get rid of a guy like Dobbins, and obviously they had the need, but they acquired, speaking of those guys, Johan Oviedo from Pittsburgh this offseason, and Oviedo is projected to be in Boston's rotation.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to. I'm getting Brendan into the room here, so we can
Okay.
get his thoughts on this as well. As
Okay.
I again
Caddyshack
doing
Hack, who is
this
the
on the
opening
fly.
day starter in left field? Uh, okay, I'm thinking that the opening day starter in left field is probably going to be Newt Barr, uh, because Burleson, I would think, and this is obviously a projection, but I'm thinking Burleson at first. If I had to project right now, assuming that the Cardinals move Arenado, I would think Gorman, Wynn, Weatherholt, Burleson with Newt Barr, Scott, Walker in the outfield, um, and then there's a lot of different things. You could put Herrera behind the plate. That wouldn't surprise me. And then you can go with Gorman as your DH. There's a lot of playing around you can do depending on who you're facing and who's hot at the time. But I would guess, Joe, doesn't it seem logical that if Newt Barr is here, he would be their opening day left fielder? And there's Brendan Schaefer.
I think so. I think he would have to be that, but I think the same with Donovan. I think there's so much smoke around Nootbaar right now, and so many teams, as somebody had put in the comments, teams are sniffing around on Nootbaar. I think there's so many teams that are looking at him, and I think there is no interest at all around Nolan Gorman around Major League Baseball. That I think if you're
Right.
trading away the two
Mhm.
left-handed bats, it just seems right with all of the obvious ties right now to Donovan in a possible trade and all of the teams that seem to like Nootbaar. It seems like those two are going to be the ones that are on their way out. We will get to that more and talk more about possible opening day, what we can even look at for opening day stuff. But Brendan Schaefer joins us now as we have been talking with you for the last half hour or so, 40 minutes or so, about the Willson Contreras breaking news of him being traded to the Boston Red Sox. Brendan, your first thoughts on Willson Contreras being shipped up to Boston?
All right, so I'm just seeing all this now. I tell you what, toddler bedtime really does take about an hour these days. The Cardinals send
It hasn't changed. Wasn't any different 10 years ago? And Randy, I'm
No,
sure you could say it wasn't any different.
maybe in inflation. I don't know with inflation
30.
if it's actually
Yeah.
more now. Oh boy. Okay, so Willson Contreras and the Cardinals send, is it $8 million? Is that what
Yes.
the salary
Correct.
is reported
Yep.
to be? So they get another arm, Hunter Dobbins, that's had a cup of coffee in the big leagues, and then take a couple of flyers on some additional arms. They are clearly looking to restock the system with pitching because it's really what kind of had the bottom drop out under the final years of John Mozeliak, where they had to then go into free agency, spend a bunch of money, which meant, we're kind of ignoring some things in the infrastructure. And so it makes sense that they're just continuing to try to get as many arms as they can. Dobbins goes right into the mix of the 7, 8, 9 guys that are going to be competing for a big league spot. We know the Cardinals have a bunch of innings to cover, and it seems to fit the billing. I don't know that he has a ton of upside, but I also don't think you are going to get somebody with a proven track record and upside in the Contreras deal. You save some money, and that is probably part of the benefit, as is the idea that now you move Alec Burleson to first base. He's your starting first baseman, and you're able to probably put him in the position that he is best suited. He did a hell of a job learning the outfield on the fly and turned himself into a capable defender out there, but I think he makes the most sense at first, guys.
Yeah, and with that, I think Alec Burleson, we talk so much about trading which lefty bats to trade. I think Alec Burleson, I think you take his name out of that conversation now with having him be that first baseman.
Yeah.
I think Alec Burleson is a guy, and it's way too early to sit here and guess what the opening day starting lineup is going to be. We know Mason Wynn is at 100% in there. I think it's safe to say that, Victor Scott's going to be in center field. Alec Burleson will be at first. I don't know where Jovan Herrera will be, but I think right now, Wynn, you can, in Sharpie, you can put Wynn at short. You can put Victor Scott in center. You can put Alec Burleson at first and Sharpie all on the board.
Yeah, and I never figured that Alec Burleson was somebody they would trade. I know that technically, he's a left-handed bat. They're looking to move some left-handed bats. He has an additional year of team control. It's just not really the timing for that yet, I don't believe. And like you said, now the positional fit.
And Shafe, he's the best hitter too, right? Yeah, of that group, he's also the best hitter, right?
He's the most proven productive hitter, and you want guys like him in your lineup. He doesn't strike out. He can hit for some power. He's going to be a middle of the order threat and maybe even continue to evolve into a better version of what he's been. He's not a guy that I ever thought the Cardinals would be looking to trade. And I understand what you're saying, Joe. They want to get rid of some lefties. Maybe people don't want Nolan Gorman. It may be that they don't trade away as many lefties and they have a more left-handed heavy lineup in 2026. I think that's not the end of the world in a year where they're not exactly planning to contend if the puzzle pieces don't quite fit together. This was kind of in the caliber of Sonny Gray trade where you're happy to get it done because you're looking to save some on the financial side of things. You want to get some arms back, but I think that this now kind of opens you up to say, we got some pieces in terms of some right-handed starters that we can plug in, and they may not blow you away, but we'll get through 2026 with these guys. And now when you're doing the Donovan trade or other deals, you can say, we want to make sure we're shooting for upside. I wouldn't be surprised after seeing the Sonny deal and the Willson deal, which, by the way, I'm sure you guys have talked about it, but there are other teams, Chaim, there are other teams out there to trade with, but maybe not ones that were willing to eat some money, and so you're able to get this deal done. I would look at it now and say, is it possible that when you trade a Brendan Donovan, you're getting some AA prospects? You're getting some guys that are further away from the big leagues because you feel like you've got what you need in terms of the major league ready category, low upside but high floor. They might go the opposite with some of the prospects they get for Donovan. That's what I'm wondering now.
I want to just throw.
I agree with that. Brady. I think just in terms of the flexibility in making a trade, I agree with that concept. I think that when and if you move a Donovan, now you're looking at an A prospect. And already we're talking about number 3 or 7 prospect from Seattle or a number 3 and 7 prospect from San Francisco, which is pretty darn good. But now maybe you're looking at 2 guys rather than 1 guy and a lower prospect, because now you can do that with Donovan. And if there's competition for his services, if you're the Cardinals, you need to take advantage of that. And it doesn't have to be an established major league pitcher right now.
I want to throw this comment up on the screen from Henry Wells, and it's something that I think all 3 of us have been dealing with all last year and the year before, saying this is brutal for Cardinal fans, especially having 2025 tied with home runs. This is crushing. Fans deserve to have just a few raw power star players. Why are we trading away a great bat? Again, do you want the Cardinals to rebuild, or do you want we can't sit here and say rebuild, get rid of everybody. And I saw there was a comment earlier. Yeah, trade everybody. No, don't trade that guy though. If we are going through this for the first time in 20, 30 years where we can go into the season and say this team is going to lose 90 games, if not more. This is going to be a rough watch at some point. We have to be ready to see good players get traded away, knowing that 2 or 3 years down the line, something good will come out of it. Yes, Willson Contreras just barely saved the Cardinals' ass from not having a 20 home run hitter last year. It's going to suck to not see his power in the lineup. You have a guy who, if healthy, can hit 30 home runs or more this year in Jovan Herrera, and he showed it at times last season that he can be that big power-hitting guy. And if he's not catching as much as he has last year and not getting hurt as much as he did last year, Jovan Herrera could put up some really big power numbers for you. J.J. Weatherhold is a guy that's going to hit for power when he comes up here. You're not going to go the whole season and hit 50 team home runs next year. You're still going to have guys that can hit for power. you have to trust the process on this, and I understand it's really, really tough to say. It's tough to watch. This is the, for Brendan and I, this is some really hard Cardinal baseball that we've had to watch. Randy, you've been through it before, having to watch some really bad Cardinal teams, and so there is a huge piece of the Cardinal fan base that's not ready for it, and they don't know what to do right now.
I get it, but here's the thing. The Cardinals had a star in Willson Contreras last year, and nobody came to the park. Sure, it's great to have a guy to watch on TV, but ultimately what's going to get people to the park and what's going to generate revenue for the Cardinals again is winning. And I mentioned this, Brendan, a little earlier. Tell me if you agree. As long as Willson Contreras is under contract to the Cardinals for those 2 more years, I didn't think they were going to be a competitive team. I think it makes more sense for them to try to be competitive in 27, 28, 29 than try to have a guy in 26 that might hit 20 home runs for you, but isn't going to contribute to winning at all.
Yeah, I think in theory, it actually made more sense for the Cardinals to trade Contreras than it does Donovan, because there is still that world in which you could make a different decision about Donovan and extend him and have him as a core piece the next time the Cardinals are going to do some winning. Contreras is on the other, on the back 9, as you'd say, of his career. He's still producing offensively, but he's not catching anymore. You're going to stick him at first base or DH, and eventually those numbers are going to be trailing off a little bit as you get deeper into your 30s. To be able to get some pieces for him now, and I truly don't know anything about the 2 prospect pitchers. I haven't even been able to look into them. Just came down to talk with you guys. Dobbins is a solid arm and somebody that you could stick into your rotation and have a 4.5 ERA and, get you through. That's productive. That's something that they could use. And the fact that I do think it bodes best for Burleson to play first base, it was like, yes, you probably aren't going to be as good. Like the Cardinals lost additional games today for their 2026 record. Like we've said that every time they've made one of these trades. But I also think that fits in with what Chaim Bloom told everybody the plan was going to be. And I'm still on board with it. I think this was a trade that hurts because Contreras is a player you want to root for, is a player you enjoy to watch. But to Randy's point, he wasn't enough to compel a fan base. And it's hard to do as a singular person, but he wasn't enough to compel a fan base to show up to the ballpark and spike revenues by 20% and avoid the degree to which they're going to do this tear down and build back up. So given the timeline of it all, Contreras probably didn't fit where the Cardinals are, and so they got some pieces for him. And I'll be curious, too. The money they're saving, I hope that they're continuing to put it back in and willing to spend when it makes sense to do so. I thought the Dustin May contract was a great example of that, and now they're saving a little bit more money, which I don't know if they knew this was going to be a possibility, Randy. Like, they were probably hopeful that Willson would waive the no trade, but I think until you get into the meat of it and you see Sonny Gray dealt and you go revisit with Willson Contreras and say, hey, man, that thing we said it was going to be, it is that thing. We are rebuilding. And so if you would like to go play in the playoffs, we're going to give you another opportunity. And so then he softened on it and they found a deal.
Brendan, I'll put this up on the screen for you to see, along with all of our listeners, as we have over 500 people watching right now on YouTube to our Card Central instant reaction show. Willson Contreras traded to the Boston Red Sox. And Brendan, you probably have to zoom in on your computer screen to read this, but this is one of the returns that the Cardinals got back in for this, and that is Yoker Fajardo is
good. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 19-year-old with 97 mile an hour fastball, 4-seam fastball, 96 mile an hour 2-seam fastball, was signed in the international market by the White Sox and then traded to Boston last year. Has only made it to single A ball at the moment. So still, and a guy, you see it right there on the screen, says his ETA to Major League Baseball is 2029. So still a few years off. And again, this is an electric arm, it looks like, but a guy that's nothing more than a lottery ticket.
Yeah, and you get guys like that. I like, it's very clear the type of trades they want to do. Red Sox jokes aside, because they all do seem to be with the same team, but they're trying to get some established pieces that may not have super high upside. Richard Fitz and Dobbins both fit into that, where they're going to be able to throw some games for you this next year. They might not be a front of the rotation or even quality back of the rotation arms, but one of them might turn into that. And then if they do, bang, you've got team control and you feel good about that. And then you tack on some guys like Fajardo is my guess for the pronunciation. I'm sure we'll find out definitively as time goes along. You tack teenage prospects on like that who throw 97 and are going to continue to grow into their frame and maybe end up throwing 100, put on 20, 30 pounds of muscle before they get to the big leagues in 3 or 5 years. Like, that is exactly the blueprint, I think, for what the Cardinals are doing. And Chaim Bloom hasn't strayed from it one teensy little bit. Like, they have consistently gone out and gotten arms. They've gotten a bunch of them, and they're saving some money for ownership all the while to hopefully make this thing more sustainable in a couple of years when they're able to kind of ramp things back up.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I think that's the biggest thing. For example, the chat we had earlier about how brutal this is for Cardinal fans. Coming to grips with a rebuild is not easy. And I know there are a lot of fans out there that are wondering why the Cardinals aren't making a move for a big free agent or why they aren't getting major leaguers back in return. And it's a concept that we haven't dealt with. Joe, you mentioned last time the Cardinals went young was basically in the 90s. But even then, they went out and got Greg Jeffries. They traded for Scott Cooper. They still had Ozzie. They had established major league guys, and they were finishing 82, 83 wins under Joe Torre. In my lifetime, the Cardinals really have not done this. They have not had a legitimate rebuild where there isn't a veteran on the team. And I've been watching for a long time. So this is something that's new for all of us, and it's difficult to come to grips with. But this is not going to be about winning in 2026. And Ollie is going to try to win. The players are going to try to win. Chaim Bloom, like you said, is not trying to make moves to lose. But the Cardinals are not going into 2026 with a plan to win a division or get a playoff spot. Their plan is to develop young pitching at the major league level, continue to develop young hitting. For better or worse, they want to find out about Walker and Gorman forever. They want to find out about JJ Weatherholt. So that's the thing, is just when you think about it as a journey. And part of the journey, the first steps of this journey, hopefully to the promised land, are in 2026, where you're going to have to deal with an awful lot of adversity.
Yeah, and as we comments coming in about this team and what to look forward to out of it, talking about, Willson Contreras was a veteran, Sonny Gray was a veteran, and the teams weren't good the last 2 years with those guys here as the veterans. You do have an opportunity next season to watch a lot of really young up and coming. You have a really young Mason Wynn, and as you mentioned, Jordan Walker, JJ Weatherholt. You have a lot of guys 25 years and younger that, you know what? Hey, if we're begging for a rebuild, it's better to go out there and do it with these guys that are young talents that can be electrifying, can be exciting to watch, that then go out there and see some no-name guys that we didn't even know were in the system 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this and seeing the groundwork being laid, and a lot of comments I'm seeing come through about they're not going to win this year. 2028 is going to be optimistic to think that they could win by then. I think eventually you can take the groundwork and the foundation of a roster that's hopefully being built right now. Like when you look at the names that they've gone out and gotten, Richard Fitz and Dobbins are thrown in there with, maybe Dustin May turns into another prospect, right? Because they can trade him at the deadline if he's pitching healthy, if he looks strong, like that can turn into another core piece. You've got pitching prospects that are on the way, Quinn Matthews, Liam Doyle, more than that, bunch of guys that were at Springfield last year that are going to be elevating up this year. Like they're putting themselves into a position where in 12 months, we might look at it and say, hey, there's a legitimate 5-man rotation thing going on here where you've got 5 guys that you feel like can go out there and give you a chance. And then Randy, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think the point at which they have that foundation and now the lineup is coming up with Weatherholt, guys like that being included. Yes, they're going to lose production of Donovan, of Willson Contreras, of Arenado. Like these are things that are happening. But then you get like 12 months down the road and you say, okay, we lost 92 games, whatever that may be, 70 wins, 92 losses, let's say. And we've got these arms that we see being part of the mixture. Maybe we traded from that group additionally. But now we're closer to the foundation being laid to where we can start to add to it. What we still don't have is a left fielder. Like we found out we didn't have that. Or what we still don't have is, and I think within 2 years, you're back to being able to spend a little bit in free agency to add the things you don't have. And I think because they're building this with pitching first and the additional position players that they already have on board, it can happen more quickly if you hit on a couple of these arms.
You know, as you were describing that, I was thinking about the Baltimore Orioles, because they have Holiday, they have Gunnar Henderson, they have Rutschman, they have the young catcher, they have more prospects coming up. But they determined, even though they only won 75 games this year, that they're close enough to add an Alonso, to add a guy like Shane Baz. They traded 4 prospects to get Shane Baz. And what you just described is where Baltimore is and where the Cardinals want to be in a couple of years. You're right on with that description.
They signed Ryan Helsley. Like, they're signing a closer because they think, you know what teams that think they're about to be in the mix do? They sign closers. They sign relief pitching to, you know, those types of contracts. And it's the only difference is that Baltimore took a little longer to get to where they wanted to go. They were built with all these position player prospects that are arriving. And then they kind of took a step back this past year and didn't like that, but they didn't want to say, oh, that means we're going to have to tear it all down again. No, they're saying we have the core, but it is time to add pieces to that group. I think the Cardinals are going to be able to do it more quickly than a team like Baltimore, because I think they've got enough arms that are within a year or two of being able to emerge. And I also believe in the people in place. Chaim Bloom brings in the folks that are going to get the most out of these pitchers, not only the ones that they're going to continue to draft, not only the ones that they are acquiring via trade, not only the ones that are in the organization already and are learning under those guys over the last 12 months. It's all of it. And I think when you combine all that together and just look at the sheer volume of pitching that they are going out there and acquiring, I really do believe that within 12 months, we're going to go, oh, the rebuild, it happened. Like we're already close to being able to be respectable. Now, I don't know that the DeWitts and the ownership group are going to go out there and spend big within 12 months, like next free agency, because we've got that whole looming work stoppage potential thing going on. But if it weren't for that, I would actually be relatively confident that the Cardinals would be ready to go out and do a little bit more in free agency 12 months from today, after a team that, like, I currently am still not convinced the Cardinals are going to lose so many games that their first digit of their win total isn't a 7. I still think the Cardinals can win 70 to 74 games, and it's not actually going to be this painful 100-loss rebuild. I could be wrong, guys. There are more trades that are yet to come. Maybe I'm optimistic more than I should be about what the nature of the pitching could look like in 2026. But I think they've got 8 or 9 guys, if you count through them, that could actually give you big league innings because of the ways that they've added in these trades.
I just want to throw this comment up on the
screen.
Again, that Jordan Terrange posted on Facebook, where we are live. That Sonny requested Willson to be his catcher.
Personal catcher.
Yeah, I think also Jack Flaherty might sign with the Red Sox soon too, knowing that Willson is there. Yeah. for that.
But here's the thing. A couple of years ago, guys, we all remember the Cardinals winning 71 games, right? And I always have this, I pose this question. Would you rather be old and bad like that team, or young and bad? At least if you're young and bad, you have a chance to get better. And I think that's probably where the Cardinals are. And I'm with you. I think there's enough good players here, Shafe, that I think the Cardinals will be competitive. I don't think they're going to be a 90-win team, but if they win 78 games, I will not be surprised. They won 78 last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won 78 in 2026.
If they win 78
would I be
games,
surprised if they won 71?
No. That would be the whole rebuild. You did it. It would happen in a blink of an eye, and I'm not saying that will happen, but it could. Absolutely, it could.
You look at it too when you have a star in the making in Mason Wynn, who played the last 2 months last year on one leg, and
he's the key to all of it.
Still won the Gold Glove. With that, you have Alec Burleson, who have we seen his potential yet as a hitter in Major League Baseball? I don't know. Like that's going to be another big key for that. If him moving to first base helps, and we see what he actually is as a hitter, that we learn from that. Like you do possibly have the pieces already here. Like we sit here and we talk like, yeah, Sonny Gray's not going to be here for the rebuild. Willson Contreras wasn't going to be here for the rebuild. Hell, if Ivan Herrera goes out there and hits 30 plus home runs next year, you're looking at that. And again, it doesn't matter how many games you win. If you have a 30, 35 home run hitter on your team, then okay, great. Hey, we have our number 3 hitter. What can we do to build around them?
Mm-hmm.
Like you do already have some pieces in play. It's not a complete lost cause right now in this moment.
I think one of the other advantages that they have this year because of the lack of expectations, if indeed they have an infield with Burleson at first, Weatherholt at second, Gorman at third, and then an outfield of all lefties of Nootbaar, Scott, Walker and right, so it wouldn't be all lefties. But
yeah,
a lot of times with left-handed hitters, you want them to learn how to hit left-handed pitching. And to go through that experience at the major league level will probably be beneficial to those lefty hitters too.
absolutely.
Play them every day.
There's an aspect of, I could not agree more. Especially a guy like Victor Scott II. Like, if 2026 isn't it about figuring out whether or not a Victor Scott II can be that every day and ultimately top of the order guy that his speed details that you'd like him to be, then I really don't know what they would be doing with their time in a year like 2026. I think when you sense Ollie Marmol talking about, and he said it several times, the excitement he has for kind of what is to come, and you maybe kind of look at him sideways because you're like, the guys are going to lose more games like by design. And then that's going to make people think you're not as good of a manager because of the win-loss record. I think he is tapping into exactly what you're talking about, Randy, where there are going to be developmental aspects of things that they are going to have the luxury to be able to do because they know going in that there's a long-range plan in place. And I do think that it's not going to be fun to lose, but I do think that will feel better than sitting there and still feeling like you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out because of all the veterans that you'd have clogging up space in that lineup. It's going to be a different vibe, and I think for the better to allow them to ultimately get to their destination more quickly than they otherwise would have.
It's been over an hour now since Willson Contreras was traded away to the Boston Red Sox, and we here at STL Sports Central, we're live within minutes of the news breaking, and we've been chatting here with you on YouTube and also available tonight on our Facebook page. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so yet, to stay informed on all of the other possible trades and free agent signings that could be coming your way this hot stove season. There was a comment earlier that I just saw up here, and I wanted to put it on the screen. And as I scroll up and I look at it here, this one from Gene saying, if Nootbaar is still here, they failed this offseason. Now, I'm not asking specifically for Lars Nootbaar, but is there a player or is there a trade that would not get made this offseason that you would look at that and you would go, wow, Chaim kind of failed us on this one?
I mean,
let me give you my opinion on that. Go ahead, Shafe. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear you first because I think first of all, I think they've already succeeded in some of the targeted moves that they have made. But
yeah, I think the idea of trading the left-handed hitting was with the idea that Willson Contreras was going to be here. So now that you've traded Contreras, you're going to have Burleson at first. So if Nootbaar isn't in left field, who's your left fielder? Right? It's not going to be Chase Davis. It's not going to be Church.
Joshua Baez, like I don't know what. Yeah,
not yet. No,
not yet.
So I think right now it's not going to be Herrera. He wants to catch. I don't see another potential left fielder on the roster right now. So
is Jose Fermin still under contract?
Yeah,
he's on the team. He's on the 40.
I mean, him and JC, I will tell you that for the people out there that are sitting here and they are talking about, we're going to trade everybody away. It's going to be a disaster of a season. Why are we doing like you are going to see more of Jose Fermin and Thomas JC next season than you ever thought was possible.
Which is perfectly good.
Right.
Like I have my internal belief about Jose Fermin over the years. What if Jose Fermin goes and OPS is 800 and plays 3 positions? You're like, holy crap, didn't know he had it in him. But like you can learn that kind of stuff because of the position that the Cardinals are going to be in. It's just fine to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
The other one I wanted to put up on the screen here too, when we're sitting here talking, you throwing out there the idea of Jose Fermin being 800 OPS. Sandwich Man says, I don't understand why everyone is giving up on 26 already. We have some talented young guys on this team. So we have plenty of shows left. We do a Cardinal show 365 days a year here on STL Sports Central.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of days for us to get this hot take off at some point or another. But you look at the Brewers. Have they done anything yet this offseason? The Cubs, still kind of waiting for them to do something this offseason. The Pirates have done the most in the National League Central to improve their team so far in this offseason. So, again, the time and a place for this hot take, but the Cardinals could possibly, it's still, look at it and go, hey, you know what? Like, you got a bunch of 20-something-year-old guys in the clubhouse going, why not? Like we're not used. We're not used to losing games. We're not used to being the worst team out there. What the hell? Let's go out there and have some fun this year.
And maybe there's only a 5% chance of that, but if that plays out, and not even to like Randy's 78 win thing, I think is more than a 5% chance that that's where they land as a team that has enough exuberance to get you close to 500. Even that would be a huge boon for what the rebuild is to look like. If they just go out and say, like, we're good, Mason Wynn is an all-star, not just defensively, but at the plate as well. Burleson's going to take a step forward. Ivan's going to be the home run threat for a full 162 that Joe talked about. And by the way, of the 8 pitchers that they've got, because you've got Dustin May, like they've added 3 arms that could be big league arms this offseason. And one of them, I think, in Dustin May actually has some real upside to go with McGreevy, Liberatore, to go with, we'll see what they get out of Palante. And then the prospects that people really do like, Quinn Matthews and Liam Doyle could be joining them within sometime in the next 12 months. Like, if that pitching ends up being on the higher end of the spectrum of what we hope it could be, you're going to turn around and go, oh, Cardinals just won 85 games. And because now you're doing that with a bare bones payroll. And then you can immediately say, okay, I bet that team would put butts in seats, and suddenly you're spending again because you feel better about where the revenues and things are. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it is very intriguing the way they're building this. I do think leaves the door open for some exciting things to happen quicker than otherwise expected.
I'm looking right now.
I think it's going to be fun.
I'm looking right now on DraftKings. They have not updated it since November 4th. As far as the futures go, the Cardinals were plus 10,000 to win the World Series as of November 4th.
Yeah, I wouldn't be counting on that, but we're just talking about being respectful and then kind of going from there.
Well, I put a future on the Fighting Illini. I don't think I'm going to be putting a future on the St. Louis Cardinals. But
how about a Cardinals and Blues to win the championship parlay?
They scored 6 yesterday. Might as well go and do that. Randy, I know you got to run. I
think we just call that a donation, by the way. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you for your money, is what DraftKings would tell you.
Randy, I know you got to. You got to run. Brendan, I know you've been on too. We have come your way for almost 70 minutes here, and we appreciate every single one of you that has watched. As we have brought you the breaking news of Willson Contreras being traded to the Boston Red Sox. There's going to be so much more on this over the next week here on STL Sports Central. Brendan, you and I will be having our 365 show tomorrow. I would imagine we'll find something to talk about this, unless Chaim Bloom has something else up his sleeve before Christmas. And Randy, you'll be going live and talking to people at 3:00 on this as well. Bernie will have his video tomorrow morning. I'm sure he'll be touching on this along with with his columns, 5 of them a week. You get Monday for free. So Mondays is free. The rest of the week is all exclusive to insiders, but Bernie's videos are free 5 days a week on STL Sports Central. Thank you to everybody out there watching and all of the comments. I haven't even looked to see just how many. I think close to 500 comments as we have been watching, or as we've been talking to you for the past hour. Thank you to Matthew Rocchio behind the scenes here, helping us out, getting us all the information information and getting the graphics up on the screen and everything running smoothly here for us on this Sunday night. For Matt Rocchio, for Randy Carricker, for Brendan Schaefer, I'm Joe Roderick. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of Card Central Instant Reaction here on STL Sports Central, where all content is brought to you by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.